Hello, friends. Welcome back to the second episode of the Hidden Power Podcast. I am Andrew, and today I am joined by, as always, my best friend in the whole wide world,
Anthony.
Yeah. Here he is.
A little fun fact, this is our second time recording because the first time we were recording with the wrong mic and it sounded garbage, so...
Sounded like a brand new YouTube channel that didn't have any equipment.
Yeah, kind of telling, you know? Anyway, I'm going to make the same joke. Shout out to Ariana Grande for tweeting at us on Twitter. That's very nice. She's listened to all of our podcasts. She's DM'd me multiple times. That is a lie. But, yeah, big shout out to her. Yeah.
It's because Anthony is obsessed with Seven Rings. Is that the name of the song?
She makes good music. I've been listening to her new album. It's very good.
There was some air quotes in there with good music.
No, it's good. It's good stuff. It really is.
It's a good song.
Back on topic. Big shout out to Wolf Glick winning the North American International Championship.
Yes, Wolf Glick with his Celesteela.
Offensive Celesteela.
The offensive Celesteela, in which he says is the only reason he won. The rest of the team sucked.
I think that was his biggest takeaway. Adamant Celesteela is something you never really see, so I think it's really cool to see something so brave, as you will.
Huh.
Yeah, that was funny.
Which is generally probably the nature he runs when he's not. Maybe not brave. Brave. You said that's brave of him, and I made a joke.
Yep, that was a really good joke, Andy. All right, now back from that freaking banger, the knee slapper of a joke, buddy. We're going to be talking about a little bit about Wolfie's team. He brought Ray Ogre kind of reminiscent of his 2016 Worlds win. Me and Andy were kind of hoping that it would be another Jonathan Evans Wolf Glick showdown match for this competition.
You're not wrong. I was, as soon as Jonathan Evans had said it.
Yes,
and I was
dude.
like, yes, please.
Yes, dude. Andy just came back with the signature catchphrase of this podcast. You're not wrong.
You're not wrong.
All right, but yeah, I thought it was very cool to see Celesteela kind of carried his team, as he said. Fairy MZ, Tapu Koko, Incineroar. A lot of the Pokemon, didn't get to show off their true potential. Really, what shined was just Celesteela, which is fine because it's an awesome Pokemon.
Right. Him and Rayquaza.
Yes,
they did the work in that set.
Yep. I think Graham Amity played pretty well. What did him in was Game 2, because, he thought Wolf would conserve his Rayquaza again.
Yep.
But, he didn't, and he took a risk. And I think this pays off for Wolf most of the time, is that he takes risks.
Yes.
In kind of... He's really good at reads.
Yes.
Which is kind of characteristic of his play.
That
Taking out a hyper-offensive team sometimes isn't super easy, especially if they go on a roll. Mega Medicham sadly did not get to come out and do a whole lot.
Right. Got knocked out turn 1 both games.
Yeah.
Got one attack off turn 1 in the first game, and then sadly did nothing in the second game.
You hate to see it.
Yep.
But
the fact that Mega Medicham, a Pokemon that when you're thinking megas in this format, Mega Medicham is not at the top of everybody's list.
Yeah, it's really cool to see that though.
Yep.
Honestly.
And that's what makes these players, far better than any of us.
Yeah.
That I will be, because we use standard teams.
For so far, it takes a lot of time and effort to really get into it though.
Right.
I think it's a great time when you're in high school and middle school to get started with this kind of stuff, because in my experience, I didn't have much homework to do and stuff like that. But I thought it was fantastic. I think it's a great time because you can spend that time outside of school really learning about the game, experimenting with stuff that you don't know will work.
Correct.
But it's the determination is what really gets you there. So stuff like that. Lunala on Graham's team, very supportive, really cool. Got up Tailwind, I believe, both games. I think 2 times in the second game.
I believe so. Yes, because the second time he was going for... he got it up in the second game twice because he was really hoping for double protect on Kyogre. Yeah. So instead of attacking, he clicked... because Wolf was targeting the Kyogre.
Yep.
If Graham would have gotten the double protect, then...
I would have made the game...
That would have made either the game wasn't over or the game actually went to Graham.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you have to deal with a Kyogre under, double
Tailwind,
speed.
yeah. Yep.
And he had what? Kyogre left. And, Wolf had Kyogre and Celesteela left. Not Kyogre, sorry. Rayquaza and
Keep in mind, though,
left.
Wolf's Rayquaza does have Icy Wind.
Correct.
So that is a pretty decent way to get speed control. It would set it back to neutral.
It takes 2 to set it back to neutral.
Oh, under Tailwind and...
Under Tailwind, it takes 2 Icy Winds to get back down to neutral speed.
I did not know that. Interesting.
Because Scarf is 1 stage, Tailwind is 2 stages.
Oh yeah, I forgot it was Scarf.
Because it doubles.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
And Scarf does 50%.
Yep.
So.
Yep. And looking at his Nihilego, never get to really see that, but Nihilego's a really cool Pokemon. I think it's got an interesting typing. So that would have been cool to see, but it wasn't favorable for the matchup. But
right.
Because really, what threatened the whole team was Celesteela.
Correct.
And obviously that doesn't do really much to Celesteela.
Yeah.
So.
Celesteela would have OHKO'd the Nihilego easy.
Yep.
The Lele? Lele didn't come out at all. It would have OHKO'd the Lele probably.
Yep.
So.
Celesteela, again, is like, even like Wolf said, it was just a really, really important part of his team to get the win. It's a favorable matchup in Wolf's
Correct.
And Graham, went up against a team that, like, Wolfie's exact team, I believe.
Earlier in the tournament, yeah.
And did win early in the tournament. So I was wondering if that was going to play a part in their matchup and how he would have played, but, overall, Wolfie just took the win. Celesteela was just too much. The mind games were probably different than what Graham had played with before, so maybe that fed into it a little bit.
Right.
But,
I mean, that just goes to show you just what kind of league Wolf is in. That somebody can face the exact same team and beat that one and then go against, Wolf Click.
Yes. I mean, and basically how I always view it is that what really separates players is anyone can have a good team. It's up to the player what they do with it. You have to know the goal of the team, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Like, for example, if you run a Xerneas team, your main goal is to take out the threats of Xerneas before Xerneas can set up.
Yep.
That is your main goal.
Right.
Really.
Figure out your win con.
Yep.
Which is something I still need to learn to do, but I feel like I'm getting.
Yeah, it all happens.
I feel like I'm getting quite the hang of it.
Yeah.
Maybe. And also, we didn't. And this, since this is our second recording, I failed to miss. In the seniors division, there was Alfredo Chang. Was that his name? Anyway, we'll look at it again in a second.
Yep.
Which we affectionately refer to as Dialga Kid. He had a Shedinja on his team, and in the Masters there was also a Shedinja on a team.
Yeah.
From Melvin K. He has a Shedinja. So Shedinja and Komodo making an appearance in Masters
top 8, I believe.
Yep.
But yeah, it's very interesting to see. There's always with Masters, it's really interesting team setups, just because people are more confident in their team building abilities, and also most people have like a few people helping them to find the strengths and weaknesses, to problem check the team, stuff like that. But yeah, I see a lot of cool teams. I do see there is a couple teams, notably with Kyle Livinghouse and Ashton Cox, that have a dual mega setup. Ashton Cox did not do as well as I thought he would, just because he's regarded as one of the best players. But really, when it comes down to it, Jonathan Evans, it was the fairy boosted
Mimikyu MZ. It was Ashton Cox's Xerneas giving out the fairy aura.
Yeah.
And then Mimikyu just used his Let's Snuggle Forever and OHKO'd the Xerneas.
Yep.
And yeah. Also, I guess RNG didn't like Ashton Cox that game because Parental Bond Bite has a 40% chance to flinch.
Because it's 20% each time,
which is fairly high. And it didn't get it.
It was. I think that Pokemon was going for flinches, which is not a bad strategy.
No.
It just unfortunately did not work out the way he hoped.
Right.
But yeah, a lot of interesting teams. Like I said, Jonathan Evans had a pretty cool team. Mimikyu is a really cool Pokemon to see, stuff like that.
Yep.
A lot of the teams very interesting. So really glad Masters was very cool. I think this tournament.
So Masters was good. Going on to seniors. Seniors was also very good. Anthony's favorite Pokemon was a champion in the Masters with
Yep.
Wolfglick Celesteela. My favorite Pokemon is a champion in the senior division, Lucario Kareem Moakit, I believe is how we say his name. I'm not 100% sure. I hope I got it right. With another crazy team with a underutilized Pokemon on there, with Lucario, with not even under the protection of Kyogre to lessen his fire weakness.
Yeah, I would like to say, we do apologize if we do mispronounce these names. It is not in our intention to do that, but
absolutely, nothing but respect for all the players.
Yeah, of course, they played fantastically. Obviously, to get to this level,
correct,
that we know about them,
you're better than me.
But yeah, a lot of cool stuff on his team. There's a lot of megas that don't really get utilized in VGC, just depending on their stats, their viability, whatever stuff like that.
Right.
Mega Lucario is one of them.
Yep,
you don't see it very often, just given
it's
its
very, very fragile, very fragile. Lots of common weaknesses, especially to one of the most used Pokemon in the game.
Yep. As was shown in Game 1.
Yes.
Yep.
It took a Super Fang, which takes it down to 50%, but then got OHKO'd at 50% by a not very effective move. That was kind of crazy, but that's fine. Kareem ended up pulling it out. Made adjustments in Game 2 where he taunted the Crobat twice with his Tapu Lele.
Yeah. Left
the Lele in there to get knocked out so Lucario could come in freely and just start doing Mega Lucario things, namely knocking everything out.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool to see. Him make that comeback because that's something a lot of people, when they get the momentum for Game 1, it leads really, really well into the next games.
Yep.
But it's great to see him kind of do like a quote-unquote underdog victory, if that makes sense.
Yep.
I thought that was really cool.
Because, Quentin Cologne, the runner-up, his team is quote-unquote standard. I've seen, these Pokemon are on a majority of teams.
Yep.
But, doesn't mean it's bad.
The reason it's standard is because
they're good.
Yeah, there's a reason that things are in the meta. I always try to branch out and I think of ideas, but the reason things are meta is because they perform well at high levels.
Correct.
And they have a level of consistency with them.
Right.
But it's really interesting to see the seniors develop their teams and stuff like that. Really cool to see, obviously, Smeargle, Lunala, stuff like that.
Yep.
Stuff. And there was a Gastrodon, as I mentioned. Well, the last recording session. Right. Rest in peace. But yeah, Zach Gray, Gastrodon. I think that's a very cool Pokemon. It has a good ability for this format.
Yep.
Just like Lapras, I believe, has a very similar ability.
Yes, it's the same ability. No, I lied.
Different name.
Same. No. Storm Drain raises your special attack by 1 stage. Water Absorb heals you by 25% of your HP.
Yep.
Zach Gray, I don't know if you watched that match. I did the day before. That was the team where the Rayquaza used Surf to give
really?
Yes, because
That's
Surf
fun.
hits everybody on the field. It was him and Gastrodon on the field, and the Rayquaza surfed to give his Gastrodon +1 and a special attack. He did not lose, or he lost that set, which is fine.
Yep.
Interesting strategy. Strategy.
Yeah, and like Andrew talked about, Alfredo Chen Gonzalez had a really, really cool team with the Shedinja. It's really cool to see him in the top 8. Always cool to see him around.
Yep. We love you, Dialga Kid.
Yeah, that is our affectionate name for him. No disrespect, really.
Right.
I thought it was amazing. He wore clout goggles to that interview after he won that internet. I just thought that was really cool.
Yep.
He has a very, very good personality.
Yes.
Awesome guy.
The junior winner, Connor Yuen, he wins with a fairly standard team. Lando was kind of exciting to see on there.
It's interesting to see that get brought back when it hasn't been super, super meta in... it's always been good. It just hasn't been used earlier in this format with Sun Series and Moon Series and stuff. But it's cool to see that come back to more of a familiar format.
He was a force to be reckoned with in
for sure
in 18.
Yep. The more I see,
I knocked out many a Lando.
Yes. I think a lot of the I think it's interesting though, because a lot of the stuff we see in the more like higher play teams, they're not necessarily including Incineroar. with an
Correct.
84% usage or something close to that, it's remarkable to not see him in like every team.
Right.
But knowing that he's not being used in favor for, like, for example, Pietro's team.
Pietro Silva with his Weavile and...
Yeah, his Weavile, Smeargle, all kinds of interesting stuff. Necrozma Dawnwings cannot Ultra Burst, I believe, but it does have the option for the Z move as well as Weavile does. I think that's a very interesting choice for Weavile.
And seeing these teams, it gives me hope. I get ideas in my head of things I want to use, and then I just think to myself, it's like, nope, not viable. And here we are seeing in the top 8 of juniors, kids that are less than a third my age are using some of my favorite Pokemon with...
Less than a third? I don't think so. Oh, juniors. No, you're correct.
Yeah, these
that
kids
right.
are... Yeah, I don't know. I'm not entirely sure what the age cutoff is, but these kids are less than 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
and they're using Pokemon that aren't necessarily considered, viable or the best with such... they're using it masterfully. I mean, they have to. If you're getting into top 8, you're golden, my friend. Like,
for sure. I think so.
So, hopefully, an upcoming season, Sword and Shield, not this one.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I can pull out some nifty teams and hopefully do well. But congratulations to Wolf Glick, to Kareem, and to Connor for all your championship victories. They were hard fought.
Yeah.
You won. Good job.
Yeah, it's great. I think Pokemon is it's kind of a tough esport because it's all about prediction and stuff like that. That's kind of a general statement, but yeah, really really good job to you guys. Congrats for getting to this high level. Okay, and for day 2, for who has been confirmed for Worlds, with that championship, Wolf did seal his day 2 invite to Worlds. Great job for him. Locked for day 2 as well is Ashton Cox, James Bake, who, we've both seen do very well before. Ashton Cox supposedly, well, not really supposedly, you can tell by his play, he is one of the best players as of right now. James Bake has always been pretty good. He's a pretty popular, I know him for his battles on YouTube and stuff like that.
Yep.
But yeah, it's really great to see Wolf advance to day 2. I think that makes it more interesting because he is a pretty familiar face for a lot of people. Not only for his appearances in other competitions, but just as well as he's on YouTube quite often. He does videos, stuff like that, so that's really cool to see.
Yep. All right, and now since the topic of today is talking about VGC and competitive Pokemon battling, I know that's not the scene for everybody, but we both thoroughly enjoy it. We're talking about our own experiences with it's Battle Spot Best of 1, where we haven't gone to any championships. We haven't started doing any best of 3s with anybody, but
we are going to hopefully branch out. There's a local Pokemon league that we're hoping to kind of get into. I think that'd be really fun to make a team participate in. I'd like to be a part of that whole environment. I think that'd be nice.
That would be very fun. And I'll just meet other people around, just other people that I don't know, because that's what brings people together, right?
Well, yeah, having common interests is always really nice, and especially with something like Pokemon, where competitive is less than like 1% of the player base, because it's such a huge franchise.
Right.
It gets really it gets hard to find people that like truly have the same interests. Like, there's not a on Twitter. I recently saw someone started a VGC, like they are like kind of trying to be like the headquarters for all things VGC, if that makes sense. So they post winnings at regionals, intercontinentals, championships, stuff like that. I will post that Twitter in the description when I find it. So
what is your favorite team that you've used so far here, Mr. Anthony?
I guess so. I think I've said this before on the first podcast, but I did not start VGC stuff until this season. So the team that I used, if I can remember correctly, was it was a Brave Groudon in a Xerneas team. It was pretty standard because it was just my first team, but it does mean a lot because this is kind of like my life has kind of grown from there. That's kind of when my love for Pokemon rekindled, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But just Pokemon Pokemon is just one of those things where seeing, not really realizing how in like Pokemon competitive is like really really interesting when you get into it.
Super in depth. You would never expect that from the game that you play.
I did not think so. Yeah.
The game that you play has zero reflection on what the VGC championship scene is actually like, and doing battles like that against other players. You just wouldn't know.
Yeah, but just talking to Andy and stuff when I first started getting back into the game, it was really cool because everything that he would talk about, I would want to know more about stuff like that. So he helped me set up the team. When I say I had like barely any experience when I first started learning, I mean like I really really didn't even have like prior VGC knowledge. I didn't have prior like knowledge of even like as many Pokemon as because I was not really into the franchise until I got back recently.
Yep.
But it's really really grown on me since. I've learned so much about it.
How long did it take you to beat the original Sun and Moon game?
Well, I picked it up when it first came out, but I kind of grew tired of it, I guess, because as we all know, Alola is quite hand-holding in terms of story, which is not a bad thing per se. It's a good way to get new players in the franchise, stuff like that. But I guess I don't know if that's what turned me off. I don't remember exactly, but I remember I beat the games towards the end of 2018. So it took me about 2 full years to complete the game, and then I remember blasting through Ultra Sun when I wanted to make a competitive team, which is the one I made now.
Yep.
So I had the Brave Groudon. I had just a regular Xerneas, max speed, max attack, and then the basic, it was, I believe, a standard. It was a bulky Lele, so that had an interesting spread that could help me survive water spouts, I believe, with like almost 100% certainty.
Oh,
I think that's what it was.
I'm not sure.
Or at
that's
least
interesting anyway.
But yeah, it was set up really well for that. If I could be wrong, but I can look into it because I have the whole team. If I was wrong, I'll correct myself, whatever. Right. But I also had, the basic Incineroar. It was just max HP, max attack, I believe, because I didn't want to be too fancy. And this was when there was no Megas or Z-Stones, just restricted.
Right.
So, it's a really basic team. It was mostly just derived from what was on Pikalytics at the time.
No.
Which is fine when you're starting out, because obviously the only thing that you really need is to learn about the format / the game if you're like in a position like mine. But part of me wished I would have like just used a QR code team as my standard team and then more expanded on ideas that I thought would flesh out later on, because for example the Brave Groudon does not work super well in this format, or at least I wouldn't want to use a Trick Room team. So,
right.
But yeah, it was a pretty standard team, Andy. And I know you've had many more VGC teams.
I've had a grand total of the ones that I've liked using has been 3.
Yeah.
Back in 2017, I had a Milotic.
Yeah, you told me about that.
I loved that team. It was an anti-intimidate tank within competitive, so when it got intimidated, it got a +1 special attack boost and a +1 speed boost, and it did work.
Yeah.
I also had a Flyinium Z Talonflame.
Yeah.
With Gale Wings at full health. That means flying type moves got priority, so I could Tailwind with priority.
Yep.
Or with even if that was
Andy,
my phone.
come on.
I am sorry.
What is this? It's a professional podcast.
Right. And
there's fireworks going off, and
I planned all of that, by the way.
There's fireworks going off, your phone's going off.
That was a gift for you.
Well, I didn't want that gift. It's kind of like that time you mailed me my cat's head in a box. That was kind of weird of you, Andy. That did not happen. I'm just clarifying.
I'm dumbfounded now. But yeah, then I had a Marowak. Did I have Tapu Bulu? I may have had Tapu Bulu on the team.
Did you have fireworks, Andy?
I did have fireworks on the team. Did lots of damage.
Yeah, okay.
Shot them at my opponent.
Yeah,
like I went to their house and I was like,
that's gonna be the new item. It's just you know how like in Yu-Gi-Oh you have to like directly attack your opponent.
Yeah.
You're just gonna like shoot like a bottle rocket at your opponent. That was more of a, I don't know,
yeah,
whatever.
but still,
Anyway,
yeah. my absolute favorite team was in VGC 18, where I had
Was it now?
Mega Charizard Y with his Drought. It was
Yeah.
amazing. I loved killing water or destroying water teams with a Solar Beam.
Yep.
Who was on that? That had Scrafty on it. That's when I discovered my love for Scrafty. Aegislash, Zapdos. I mean, I've always loved Zapdos. Had a Venusaur on the team. Venusaur never really did much. Probably because I put the wrong item on it. But long story short, that Charizard was the backbone of my entire team, and it just wrecked shop on everybody, and it was absolutely wonderful. I think I swapped out the Zapdos later on for my timid shiny Coco.
I did borrow that Aegislash that Andy was talking about when I was first getting into Pokemon, and I had a friendly kind of tournament match thing go on between me and a couple of my friends. And I did remember that for my first BGT team, I also did use a Venusaur with Life Orb. It was I'm sure it was a similar Pokemon to what Andy had, because I would always struggle with it being killed by things. So I think I did eventually move to Sash just for the increased, tank. But yeah.
Absolutely.
Back to you, Andy. Sorry.
No, you're good. But no, that was my favorite. That was my favorite. And then this last team, who did I use? Was it Kyogre?
Are you talking about the one that you made first?
Yeah,
for
18 or 19. Yeah, I think I used Kyogre Zern. I spent an entire day shiny hunting Xerneas. Found one, was in the right nature, and then I soft reset.
Yeah,
and then I found
a
one.
Hard decision.
Yeah, and I found one a couple hours later, and that was pretty cool. But that team was really fun. I really did like that team a lot.
Yeah.
Who was on that team other than Zern? And
was it more like basic Pokemon, do you think? Or?
I think I put Bulu on that team also.
Yes, you did.
Because Bulu holding a Grassy Seed in terrain, even at -1 from an Intimidate, could still Oko could live an Ice Beam from a Kyogre, and then Oko hit with Horn Leech, not Woodhammer.
Yeah.
And get most of his health back.
Bulu is really, really good. And he's by far the least used Tapu.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting not to see him be used, because Andy used him, and it works. I think the reason he's not so used is because he is probably more like offensive oriented.
Yeah, and he's also weak. He's weak to an Ice Beam, so any chip damage on him, an Ice Beam will knock him out with a Kyogre. Groudon will Oko him with a Fire Punch, and then now that Rayquaza is now able to put on his big boy pants and use Dragon Ascent will easily knock him out.
For sure, yeah.
So unfortunately, he's got that Grass typing, which invites all the weaknesses.
Yeah, which is sad to see, but yeah, I think it's that. Like what you said, I think you pretty much summed it up perfectly. But a lot of the other Tapus are also just better for support. Like Tapu Koko kind of does that role as well.
Yeah,
where it kind of kills Kyogres, but it also can't be intimidated.
Right. He has far less weaknesses.
All right. Now that these fireworks have stopped, me and Andy are going to talk about these the Pokemon teams that we have kind of created together.
Yeah.
Because when we have nothing else to do, we kind of just like to come up with things.
Yeah, it all started with around one Pokemon in general that we thoroughly enjoy, and that would be Lapras.
This was actually the second team we made. We have two that we have made. Yeah,
we have a second one.
Mewtwo Fun Times.
Oh yeah, Mewtwo Fun Times.
You remember that?
I do remember Mewtwo.
Okay,
we'll
talk about the Lapras one first because we brought it up.
And it's literally I'm staring right at it.
I did see a thread posted about it, and it was kind of introduced to me because I follow Eduardo Cunha. He is a EMBC. He's on Twitter. I'll put his Twitter in the description as well. He kind of replied to this thread, and that's what led me to it. But it was a calc for Lapras, because Lapras is super bulky, and he can survive most of Kyogre's attacks, so he's really good against Kyogre teams. But every other Pokemon is kind of set up so if you don't want to use the Lapras, you can use other things.
Yep.
The only thing this is Lapras with Assault Vest, I think, survives a Thunder from
It does.
Kyogre. But I think with choice specs, I do not remember.
It changed. I mean, with choice specs, obviously his offensive prowess becomes much
Really,
greater.
really good, yes.
And then I think I don't think you're relying on a 3-hit KO against the Kyogre with freeze dry. I think you're looking. Maybe
I think it's a confirmed 2.
It's either confirmed 2 or chance for 2. I'm not 100% sure.
It is Specs Lapras. I'll probably put up each Pokemon on the screen as we talk about it.
Yep.
It is Specs Lapras.
Yep.
With all attacking moves, obviously, for the choice specs.
Right.
But you have a bunch of different options on how to take out different Pokemon. You have Ice Shard for priority.
Yep. Which doesn't, unfortunately doesn't do a whole lot with the specs, but if you can just kill something with Ice Shard real quick, you just do it.
Yeah, I'm actually curious. I kind of want to run a calc to see, because I forget exactly how well Lapras takes Thunder from...
Without the Assault Vest, I think he still takes a good amount.
It's
not an Oko.
You don't think so?
I don't think it's an Oko.
I'm gonna look it up. But yeah, I know we had to give up the Assault Vest on Lapras in exchange for
to be able to put it on one of the other Pokemon that just allows it to wall the Kyogre as well. The Togedemaru.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the best combination. I guess the reason for having Togedemaru have the Assault Vest was so, for one, Lightning Rod.
Yep.
So Kyogre, in most terms, can literally not threaten Lapras, because between Water Absorb, Quad Resistant to Ice,
yep,
and then not being immune to Thunder attacks when Togedemaru is in play, is really, really cool. It's like I said, it's super well against Kyogre teams, but nothing else.
Right.
A little update. Thunder is actually guaranteed to a KO. It doesn't even do 75%. So if you don't bring Togedemaru, or if you don't have him, if he gets knocked out, whatever, it's still really, really good.
Yep.
Because he just tanks everything.
Right.
Lapras, I think, would be a really interesting Pokemon to see come out. So that's why we've only used this team a couple times. I don't think Lapras and Togedemaru came out because they were not against Kyogre teams. But like Togedemaru has a pretty basic, all bulk with a little bit of speed, fake out, nuzzle, zing zap, stuff like that.
Yep. That way you can nuzzle to do damage and paralyze, and then hopefully do some zing zaps to get the flinch.
All right, and then we have Incineroar. It's a pretty basic one. I believe the spread was I forget where I found the spread for this. It was either on another team or it was just from Pikalytics, but I believe it was from a team that I saw. But it has the Insinium Z, so that is the Z move user. It's invested with quite a bit of bulk, so it survives a lot of things. Plus, Insinium Z is very good. It takes out quite a lot of things. Yeah, it's surprising. It's surprising how powerful it is, really, with only like 4 in attack investment.
Yep.
But that's just because the stats are just so good.
Yep. Oh yeah, the Feeny is the other star player of this team.
Yep.
I think with that light screen. Go back to the damage calc and throw a light screen up there, and then see how much damage you take.
Oh yeah, there it is.
From a Thunder. Not even 40%.
An 80% chance to 3-hit KO. So I remember, light screen is another very, very good option. Obviously, it just makes the bulk on Lapras that much more ridiculous.
Yep. But then throwing so the Feeny is pure support. Icy Wind to slow things down. Heal Pulse, Haze to get rid of your Intimidate on your next Pokemon.
Yeah.
Rayquaza, because you don't want that Rayquaza to be intimidated.
Yep. Pretty basic Mega Rayquaza with Earth Power, Crunch, Extreme Speed, Dragon Ascent. So most of the pretty standard moves. This one is a Adamant one, so it is almost all just, hard hitting.
Yep.
With a tiny bit of special defense just to survive things in pretty specific circumstances. Yep. But Rayquaza, again, he's probably one of your win cons, I'd say, or pretty close to that, because he is obviously Mega Rayquaza hits everything super hard.
Yep.
Another great Pokemon to have, obviously. But your biggest win con is Xerneas. It's a pretty basic set. It's in fact as basic as it gets. Timid, full special attack and speed. But
Yup.
once you get that Geomancy up, like I said,
There's
most
no reason
things-
to do anything else.
Yeah, and I guess the key to this team is really setting up Xerneas, and then also at the same time keeping Lapras alive, to take the Kyogre threat away from the team.
Yep. Alrighty, and then the first team that I completely and utterly forgot about was our Mega Mewtwo Y Funtime team, with our 2 restricteds being a Mega Mewtwo Y. Strange with that title I just gave, you would have never guessed. And Rayquaza as a restricteds, and the Mega Mewtwo Y is using a move, 2 moves, I believe, that you don't really would expect. I don't believe. With Rayquaza right next to you, if you're going against a Groudon, which I don't think would necessarily be scared of the Mega Mewtwo Y, because it would love a hit, and then you would just take out the Mega Mewtwo with a physical attack.
Yep.
But this Mega Mewtwo Y is running Water Pulse, and Water Pulse is a guaranteed knockout.
I mean,
with Rayquaza sitting next to him.
yeah, it has a massive special attack stat,
Yeah.
which it hits everything really hard, obviously, but
And then I believe Grass Knot, the other move we're using, was that a chance to OHKO
I'm pretty sure that was
the Kyogre?
I have
Because it had to be there for a Kyogre.
Yeah, I'm sure it was there for coverage reasons, but basically that was the whole thing, was to just Mega Mewtwo was there to be super fast and take out the threat of
Yep.
one of the primals.
Yep.
So
Because
making weather.
coming from an unsuspecting, or you'd expect the answer to Groudon be something else on the team,
Yeah.
not the Mewtwo Y. But for Battle Spot, best of 1, that would be great. Best of 3s, you might not be able to get away with it twice.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
so then we have standard setup on Rayquaza. We're running Jolly, max attack, max speed, Incineroar. What is that? That I can't read. That is
What?
it's minus speed plus special defense.
Yes.
So-
It's
Naive.
I think that's either naive or it's sassy.
Sassy.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. I don't know that one off the top of my head. This team also has double intimidate support.
Yep.
With U-turning. This does not have U-turn. I'm lying to you guys. The Lando has U-turn, but the Incineroar does not. We have Feeny on here as well. We did realize right before we started talking about this that we have a move on there that would do us no good. We were gonna swagger to be like, oh, we can Swords Dance on Rayquaza and swagger in 1 turn and get to +4. But Rayquaza flies and isn't affected by terrain, so he'd get the +2 and get confused.
Literally,
and
all of our physical attackers on this team are all flying type.
so
So
except for the Incin. But
yeah, it's just one of those
yep.
oversights. It was a quick made team, and it was really just made for the gimmick of it.
Yep.
It's fun for one-offs on Battle Spot, so
Yep.
it's not super effective. It's just entertaining. Really.
Yep. So and then Scald also, if you're for some reason don't bring Mewtwo to the battle and you have Feeny sitting next to the Rayquaza, a Scald with 0 special attack investment OHKOs a Groudon as well.
Oh yeah, Quad Weak is
Yes,
not a
being
good thing to be.
Quad-Weak. And then our final member of the team, Celesteela, a
Very basic.
very basic, very stally, wide guard to protect you from Origin Pulses, Water Spouts, Eruptions, Precipice Blades. Even though half the team is flying, you're not affected by it anyway.
It was a very quick put together team,
Yep.
but I think a lot of the I think it was just cool because most of the gimmick around it was that it was just basically primal canceling
Yep.
the other team.
And then Celesteela was there to actually probably take out other fairies that threatened you, mainly the Xerneas and everything like that. So
Yeah, but yeah. In summary, I guess the North American International Competition, very very fun to watch. I think it was really cool. A lot of the teams we saw, had surprises, tricks up their sleeves. A lot of cool Pokemon coming out, and one, especially with that Mega Lucario, like we discussed.
Yep.
I just thought the championships were really interesting. I thought everyone played very well. Wolf, obviously getting day 2 invite, that's huge.
Yep.
And you got a little insight into our VGC journeys, I guess.
Yep. We didn't talk too much. I'd love to get some video of some of the replays that I have on my 3DS.
Oh yeah.
To throw up there, but I don't have any way to do it unless I record on my phone, and the quality would just be awful.
Yeah, we don't have much equipment. We're working on getting more stuff, so hopefully there's more, content coming to the channel. And we don't say this, we're not just saying this to say it. Hopefully it's going to be fleshed out soon. It's just we're getting funds together and stuff like that.
Yep.
In order to buy stuff. But that has been episode 2 of the Hidden Power Podcast. But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. Really, it means a lot.
Yes, thank you very much.
All right.
We appreciate it already. Hopefully we're on to bigger, better things. Until next time, guys.
Bye, friends.
Peace and chicken grease.